back for a new episode of Voices of IFES like every Wednesday. We're continuing to listen to What Assembly 2019 talks. This talk is from Joshua Castillo. He was at the time a student from University Canada. He talks from Luke 9, verse 18 to 27, in a journey exploring Jesus' identity.
Good morning, IFES family. My name is Joshua Castillo. I'm a student at Concordia University and I study computer engineering in Montreal, Quebec. Magandang umaga sa inyong lahat. Ako si Joshua Castillo, ang aral ko computer engineering sa Canada, Montreal, Quebec. Bonjour. Je m'appelle Joshua Castillo. J'étudie en génie informatique à l'Université de Concordia à Montréal, Quebec. So something about myself. Growing up, my superpower was falling asleep. I would be able to fall asleep in loud concert halls like these, fall asleep in restaurants with food in my mouth, and also fall asleep in the school bus and miss my stop and get lost. I was able to fall asleep almost anywhere. But unlike me, Jesus found his rest when praying to the Father in the quiet places, away from the crowd, away from the distractions, away from the chaos. Jesus is praying, and this time, his disciples were with him. In our passage, Luke chapter 9, verses 18 to 26. Jesus asks his disciples, right? Who do the crowds say I am? Who do the people you minister to say I am? And they replied, some say John the Baptist, others say Elijah, and still others that one of the prophets from long ago has come back to life. Now to the crowds, their understanding of Jesus is one of a healer, a teacher. To the crowd, he may be a historical figure, a spiritual leader. But they miss the point because they do not see Jesus for who he truly is. How the crowd pursues Jesus reveals who they say he is. They thought that Jesus was preparing the way for the Lord, but did not realize that Jesus is Lord. How you follow Jesus reveals who you say he is. Where do we need to be reminded in our lives that Jesus is Lord? Because it is important to see Jesus more clearly. Jesus needs to be greater than a healer on our campuses, in our universities. Let me share a story. 2 years ago, I had two friends that needed healing. Now, my first friend had extreme back pain, and it lasted for weeks. And so what one of our staff workers did is she laid hands on his back and prayed to Jesus to heal him. And immediately, he was healed. My friend was healed of his back pain. But in the end, my friend told me that he wasn't ready to follow Jesus. Now, my second friend, his name is Jack. Now, Jack, he had pain on his leg, and he couldn't play basketball anymore. It was his favorite sport. And so what happened, what our fellowship did, is we gathered in this small room and circled him around, and we laid hands on him. And we prayed prayers expecting Jesus to heal him immediately. We believed and had faith that Jesus would heal him immediately. So after praying those prayers, we asked Jack, so Jack, how does your leg feel? And he's like, I still feel the same. His leg was not healed, and he still experienced pain. He was not healed immediately. However, to Jack, that experience did not change how he perceived Jesus. He still claimed Jesus as Lord. And today, my friend Jack is leading weekly Bible studies on our campus and is discipling students in our university. Because Jack says Jesus is Lord. But what about you? Who do you say I am? And Peter answered, God's Messiah, right? God's Messiah. And so what Peter's understanding of God's Messiah is one, like in Daniel chapter 7, who is given authority, glory, and sovereign power. His dominion is an everlasting dominion, and his kingdom is one that will never be destroyed. To Peter, Jesus is this amazing king who will redeem Israel. But then Jesus warns them, right? Jesus warns them not to tell this to anyone and says that the Son of Man must suffer many things, be rejected by the elders, the chief priests, and the teachers of the law, and he must be killed, and in 3 days be raised to life. Now, right now, Peter is being challenged with this new perception, understanding of Jesus. His expectations of what the Messiah is being challenged. And to you, I ask, what are the expectations and what are the bias that needs to be challenged so that we could have a more clear perception of Jesus? Last night, for me, it was reviewing the term mission. What does it mean in our campus to be bearers of hope? Yeah. It is important to see Jesus more clearly. Because who you say Jesus is will determine how you follow him. Who you say Jesus is will determine how you follow him. And Jesus says, whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves, take up their cross daily, and follow me. Whoever would come after me, says Jesus, let them deny themselves, take up their cross daily, and follow me. Let them deny themselves. Does our heart, does our posture, is it one of denying ourselves when we come to Jesus? To deny myself means to give up my understanding of things, give up control, ambition, my self-interest, and trust God. Because we need to trust God. We need to trust that Jesus is coming after his students, is coming after people on our campuses. I need to believe that Jesus is meeting my friend and coming after him. Let me share another story. I have this friend, this classmate of mine. He was my first friend when I went to university, actually. I just turned around and I looked at the first person next to me and said, hey, you're my new friend, right? And so his name is Arujun. Now, something you must understand about Arujun is that Arujun is Hindu. And I've been challenged to invite my friend to our fellowship, our gatherings. But to be honest with you, I was afraid. I feared rejection, and I feared what he would think of me if I were to invite him to my Bible studies. And so it was in those moments where I needed to trust God. I needed to trust God with my friendships and with the outcome of the invitations that I make. And so after multiple invitations, my friend Arujun finally came, and he came to one of our events, and he experienced fellowship, and he experienced the love of our community, And he just came and came and came. After every invitation, he came. And today, my friend Arujin is attending more Bible studies than our regular Christians in our university. He is hungry and he wants to see the Word and discover Jesus. And we are excited as a fellowship to see his growth and as he discovers what it means to really follow Jesus. What it means to really follow Jesus. Whoever would come after me, let them deny themselves, take up their cross daily, and follow me, says Jesus. Let me take a sip. My mouth is getting dry. Did you know that in Quebec, just recently, the government passed a law that actually bans you from taking up your cross? Yeah, for real. So the government passed a law in which they banned civil servant workers such as teachers, lawyers, and police from wearing religious symbols. That means that teachers, lawyers, and police and civil servant workers are banned from wearing the hijab, the turban, the kippah, and even something as small as a cross around your neck. Because what the government envisions is a uniform secular society. And so what the law does is that it forces individuals to abandon their convictions in order to be part of society. What does it profit anyone to gain the approval of the government? What does it profit anyone to gain the whole world and yet lose and forfeit their very self? Whoever would save their life would lose it, and whoever loses their life for me will save it, says Jesus. Whoever loses their life for me will save it, says King Jesus. So for me, what it means to take up my cross daily, it means to be bold and not ashamed of the good news and the hope that I have in Jesus Christ. It means to endure suffering for following a king who is faithful unto death for the sake of the promise of life. Because who we follow is Jesus. The Jesus who is victorious over sin and death. Greater than a healer, greater than a king, Jesus is God. In your context, what does it mean to deny yourself, take up your cross daily, and follow Jesus?
Thank you for listening to this podcast. We have a new episode every Wednesday, and if you want to listen to previous episodes, we have interviews from staff from all around the world, and we have our last series on World Assembly 2023. Make sure you subscribe to where you're listening to your podcast, and make sure you follow us on all social media platforms, including WhatsApp.